Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you're having the most beautiful morning so far. If you are listening to me because you get up a little bit later, I hope you're enjoying your sleep. I had to stay up and watch the State of Origin last night, and I'm bloody glad that I did. Let me tell you right now, because Queensland things. So yeah, and I'm also traveling today, so we're gonna get through it. Okay, I'm so excited. I'm always excited. Let's be real with ourselves. But specifically today. So, every evening, I prepare the notes for the show. Okay. And then in the morning, we jump on like about half hour, 15 minutes beforehand. And then they put together like a production sheet for me. So then I know what I'm talking about. And obviously, as the show evolves and grows and things like that, I will be able to, do sponsor reads and stuff like that. Okay. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely lovely. And it's presented so stunningly and all of the things. 15 minutes beforehand. And now, I had something that came up literally like this morning, and I can't stop thinking about it. So I was like, I really have to talk about this on the show. So I'm going to give you a visual demonstration in a minute, and then I'm also going to give you a little bit of something that I learned yesterday. Regardless of whether you believe in manifestation or not, this just actually blew my mind. Like, my mind was blown when I listened to this. So bear with me. I think regardless if you believe in manifestation or not, but regardless of how you woke up this morning, like this literally just snapped me out of how I was thinking. So yeah. Now, the topics we actually prepared for the show this morning. Do you know what? I'm going to get financial people on here. Like, one of my clients, actually, he's a mortgage broker, and he is unbelievable at what he does. And I love the way that he speaks about money and all the things. So, he's going to come on the show next week to talk to us about, getting to owning your home and doing all the things. But what we're talking about today, so what's trending in the news is child-free spaces. This is just wild to me. Now, I don't have children, obviously. However, when I take, all right, I'm going to be real honest here. When you go out into spaces and kids are running around screaming, it's so annoying. Okay. But what I will say is, when there is a child screaming on a plane and a mother, they're desperately trying to soothe her child, my heart actually breaks. So I used to get really frustrated because it was really annoying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, shut that kid up. But now, I put myself in their shoes, and I'm like, oh my God, imagine how stressed you are, you poor doll. So yeah, I think child-free spaces is a massive point of contention for people. Do you know what? Actually, I feel like parents even maybe like it, because then they can go somewhere and kids can go to their grandparents or somewhere else, and they won't have to worry about it. But they're literally saying things like, would you pay extra for a child-free flight? Isn't that crazy? And because I think it's Virgin, you can travel with your pets, which is wild again. So okay, that was the first topic. The second one is, apparently there's a massive big debate about how much is rich. So 1 in 5 Australians now say you need a salary of $450,000 a year to be considered rich. Isn't that insane? So 53,000 people. All right, so these are the people that were surveyed. Financial anxiety is reshaping how we define success. And look, I get it. So yeah, it's wild to me. So we're going to be talking about that today. And then we're also going to be talking about holiday at home. So we're actually choosing, and by we, I say 49% of Australians named Australia as their favourite holiday destination. Italy, second, 11%. And then, there's obviously a bunch of other things in there. How cool is that? Okay. Australia's a beautiful place to live in holiday. And then last thing we're going to talk about this morning is office versus flexible work. And I have literally a real life example of this, because I was in an office yesterday and I was like, I would not want to do this every day again. So that was the best thing to come out of COVID. COVID was awful, but I think our working from home situation is, the best thing that come out of it. And then this is what else I want to talk about. Okay. This is the top of this morning. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because it's super relevant to like life right now. And like I said, I had a concept explained to me yesterday that like absolutely blew my mind, and it like just made so much sense. Okay, so I'm going to start with that before I get into my little story time. So if you know anything about like the law of attraction, or like your, like when people say like your vibration and like your things, right? Basically, that just means the person that you're being. Sorry, I'm just looking at myself in the thing, and you know, like that movie Fantasia, I think it is. I look like Mickey Mouse with like my wizard sleeves. Anyway, moving on. So, oh God, typical me. I've just completely lost my train of thought. Yeah. So, the level that you vibe at, kind of determines what happens in your life, and in order to get more out of life, right, you have to vibrate at a higher frequency. Okay. I heard this concept yesterday, and I literally, purely because Facebook memories is one of my favoriteest things in this whole wide world, because I looked at my life this time last year and I was like, oh my God. I just was like, if that was Megan 2 years ago looking, and I was like, in 12 months, you're going to be doing this. I like would have been like, okay, cool story. Like it absolutely blows my mind. Okay. So I want to, so Shani Thompson, actually, I just love the way that she explains things. It's just like plain English. I'm like, don't overcomplicate things. Okay. So imagine your life, like this lifetime specifically, as a, now she gave a different one to this. This is my version of it. So, I hope this makes sense to somebody else. You know, those helicopters, like those, like rescue helicopters, and they've got those massive, big, long ropes. Okay, so I like to envisage, so the top of the rope, like right, the helicopter is like you, the highest, best, richest, hottest, happiest, whatever version of yourself. Like, so right at the top of that is like obviously where we aim to get to before our life in this iteration of it goes. And then it goes all the way to the bottom of the, like, of the ladder. So in order to show up in as you're the highest version, i.e. get to the vibration that's at the top of the ladder where you can have everything that you want, okay, that is obviously determined by your feelings, your actions, your beliefs, your all of the things. And the thing that is, I think people don't really understand, is that it's like 95% of this is controlled unconsciously. Okay, so you can try all the affirmations in the world, you can, you know, read all the books in the world, you can do all the things that understand it from like a logical perspective. But if you don't actually believe it under the surface, obviously, like, you know, that's really 95% of it all. So anyway, so like so this is like going to be my horrifyingly bad visual representation of like what we're doing here. Okay, so if you're not actually watching on the video replay, just imagine a bunch of, and I forgot I'm going to see my own reflection. Okay, do you know what? I'm just going to explain this. We're going to wear it. So, top of this ladder, highest, best, happiest, all of the things, everything you ever wanted, right? That's at the top of this ladder. And then as you go down, obviously different things happen in life which cause you to, I guess, have to reset where you are on this ladder. So, you in another, so, and oh God, all right, let me try not to butcher this, okay? If you're not following me, I'm so sorry. Like, just bear with me, because it's like, just really has a beautiful point. So basically where you are, like all of these different versions of yourself, all of these rungs of the ladder, all exist at one time. Okay. So in the quantum field, every single amazing version of yourself who's doing all the things, right? She's out there. And also the person, or the version, I should say, of you that isn't it, and who's probably not having the best time in their current iteration of themselves, right? That exists all at the same time. Okay. That's the theory. That's what quantum physicists know to be true, which is pretty cool if you think about it. Okay. So think about where you are on your like helicopter rung ladder in your life. Are you like, how you feel? Do you feel like you're kind of like maybe climbing your way up to like the higher version of yourself? Or do you feel like maybe you're like sort of closer to the bottom, like up and down? What you can be grateful for, regardless of where you feel like you are, like in this iteration of your life currently, you know that the responsibility and the opportunity, I should say, to be able to go up or down is completely on you, like completely up to you. So if you're like not vibing where you're at right now, change some behaviors, remove some limiting beliefs, shift some identity stuff. And like these ladder rungs are not hard to get up to, okay? You like watch your life change. And also how cool that again, like the bottom, like the lower rung ladders, the versions of you are in the quantum field. They are looking at your life right now and thinking, oh my God, she's doing what? How cool is that? Same deal. 12 months ago, if you had said to me, I would be like 4 shows into my own radio show, I would have probably laughed in your face. But here we are. Okay. So I just loved this analogy because it's a visual, because I'm such a visual person. It's a visual representation of where I can be in my life. And I know that in order to go up the ladder or down the ladder, conversely, is purely up to me. Okay. My behaviors, my beliefs, the identity I choose to embody, all of the things. And it's interesting because I think back to when I used to work full time. Like I used to work for a massive tech company. I was a global sales and marketing director. Like I was doing things, right? That version of me, I was up at 4 a.m. I was meditating. Like I was this, like when I speak of the most disciplined version of myself, that was her. Okay. I was achieving unbelievable success. Okay. I was getting promoted. I was on unbelievable money. Like life was good. And when I say life was good, in the terms of the person that I was being, I was hustling so hard because I think I actually had to outwork the underlying beliefs of how I felt about myself, which because I worked so hard, worked at the time. Okay. So whereas if I could go back, I would reshift those first because then I'd see even more success. So when I started my own business, I was like, if I can achieve this success for somebody else's business, I can achieve this success for my business. Right. However, when you work for yourself, every insecurity, oh God, it is just like, it is a mirror that comes at you. And it is just like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done is be in business for myself. And because I struggled to cope with that, I was doing things that were like literally making me walk down the rungs of those ladders real fast. Okay. I was drinking every weekend. I was partying every weekend. And because I was so stressed about running this business that I had just created out of nothing, I was like, I don't know what to do next. Okay. So then that version of me created like sort of what has been my more recent reality because I was hanging down the lower rungs of the ladder, not being the expression of myself that I knew I could be to achieve the success I knew I could. And it literally took me like 2 years to get to this point where I'm like Megan, you silly person. You can change all of this. And all you have to do is the stuff that you were doing previously, but alongside of that, do the inner work so that you shift those beliefs and you don't have to repeat those lessons and you don't have to work so hard to achieve that success because you've done the inner stuff to make it a bit easier. Okay. I'm going to give you a live version of this. So this time last year, like I said, I think I've alluded to you or I've said it. I'm going to Darwin today. We've got Supercars this weekend. Okay. This time last year, so this Darwin race last year, I was up in Darwin. And when I tell you I had the most serendipitous event ever happen in my life, like, let me explain. So I wanted to watch the State of Origin, which funnily enough was last night. So crazy. I wanted to watch the State of Origin and I was like in a hotel room by myself and I was like, you know what, like don't be such a hermit, like go out. And I don't know what it was that made me do it because I typically am like absolutely not. I would rather stay in and yeah, hang out with myself. So whatever it was inside of me that was like, go out, don't be such a hermit. And I picked this random bar, I literally Googled, I was like, you know, like whatever I Googled, State of Origin, Darwin, and I found this bar. Went to this bar and there was the entire broadcast team for Supercars, the entire, so Matt Nolte, who I've referred to previously, he was there. And because obviously we had been chatting and, you know, he was really a good support in helping me with advice on how to handle certain situations in motorsport. Anyway, so we hung out. I met the entire broadcast team. And because obviously I wasn't in my Coleman & Co stuff, I was just in cash. I was like, this is the best night of my life. Now, because I was so not prepared, I was like so overwhelmed with the whole situation. I was just like, oh my God, like how do I how do I, like, what do I do in front of these people? I was like, I don't know how to act. I don't know how to be. I don't know, like, whatever. But, you know, it was just crazy. Like, my brain automatically wanted to recluse. And I was like, I'm so done with this. Anyway, long story short, met them all. They're all so beautiful, so lovely, so amazing. And I was like, cool, this is like, what the hell? Okay, so go to the races the next day. So that would have been a Wednesday. So next day, Thursday, which is like our track walk and setup day, walking around, and like to be remembered by people like this. And I'm like, oh, hello, good morning, hello. It's just wild to me. Anyway, that night I went to the Darwin Ski Club. And if you know, you know, like, oh God, there's sunsets. Stunning. Love, love, love. And they have like live music and it's just a whole vibe. And I had a bucket load of work to complete. So here I am, typical me. I've got my AirPods in. Because I'm editing videos and stuff, like one AirPod in, trying to listen to the music, trying to get in the vibe. I had my little drink going on. And then the next thing, all like I feel behind me was Matt Nolte, and he happened to have Craig Lowndes with him. And if you don't know Craig Lowndes, even if you don't like racing or no racing, I feel like you would know who Lowndes is. Anyway, so I was just like, let's not make a dick of ourselves here, Megan. Let's be cool, like whatever. Anyway, he's just the best person in the whole wide world. So like no expectations about how ridiculous I was going to behave, because I was very starstruck. Anyway, so I was like, you know, I'm just like finishing up and then I'm heading back to the room, and, you know, I've got a big day tomorrow and, you know, all the things. Anyway, next thing I know, they're like, no, come over and, you know, sit with the team and like do all this. And I was like, absolutely not. There is no part of me that wants to do this. No. And then so I was like, you know what, I'll just put my stuff in the car and then like I'll come back. I wasn't going to go back. Absolutely not. And obviously that they realized that. So they grabbed my bag for me, walked over to where everyone was sitting. I was like, oh my God. So like when you meet childhood heroes and people that you look up to, like people like Greg Rust, you know, and Chad was there, Chad Nalon, and, you know, the behind the scenes people of Supercars, because you just get to know, because you just become obsessed with the sport. And here I am sitting here with these people, and I was like, this is just wild. Like if I didn't come to this spot purely by accident, like I was obviously clearly meant to sit and meet these people. So because I guess I'm trying to think like the best way to sort of like sum up how this all kind of happened is, I think that if I look back retrospectively on that, right, I really lent on those people that I met. Because I have found it so hard towards the end of last year in particular, racing is unbelievable. Motorsport is just the best thing in the world, but it is full of, it is like really, really big, bold, brash personalities. And for somebody like me, on the surface, I'm like one of those dogs like back into a corner and then they go nuts. Like that is me on the outside. Okay. So if I get feedback, and I had the perfect example of this yesterday, I don't take it too well. And that obviously having RSD, which is rejection sensitivity disorder, when you give me feedback and it's not what I think it is, or like not what I think I want it to be, it literally feels like you've punched me in the face. Like, and you have said that I'm stupid, like I shouldn't be doing this, like who am I? Like, and it literally, like that's how it feels in my body. And I'm trying so hard to work on it. And well, I'm not, I am working on it. And I was really proud of myself yesterday, because I had literally a live example of this where, we had a workshop for one of my clients, and, so the founder's brother was in the room. He's this big deal in tech. And, you know, I think his personality type and my personality type, very, very different, very, very different. So like I gave my presentation of kind of like, you know, this is what opportunities I see for the business and yada, yada, yada. He challenged me on everything that I said. And this is where my poker face does not pay off for me. However, I was really proud of myself, because normally I would shut down and I would be like, how dare they not agree with me? Like, you know, I would have been so upset. I would have thought about it. I would have whatever. What I've learned from being around the types of people, i.e. massive stars, is that if I ask for your opinion, or if you give me your opinion, I like where you're at in life. I respect you and I can learn from you. So I'm going to listen to your feedback. So as I was sitting in this meeting yesterday, I was like, okay, cool. Do I want his life? Well, I mean, it's actually pretty successful and he's got a pretty epic house and I love his car. Okay. So I was like, okay, cool. I can probably stand to learn some things from this. And then the founder actually rang me after it, and he said, well, he goes, you are amazing. Like, well done, how you handled him. Like, must people just like shut down, or they like go, like start attacking and defending their position. And that's literally the first thing I wanted to do. I was being like, I didn't ask your opinion, bro. This is like literally what I like, present your own slide, But I realized in that moment, because I really did actually respect what he had built and where he was at in life, and like personality wise, I don't have to like him, but I respect him. I'm like, okay, I can probably take that on board, and that's really interesting feedback. And it actually made me think differently, and actually helped me see a different perspective. Okay, so because I didn't shut down and I didn't go back at him and go like toe to toe with people, and I don't know why I do it. I don't know why I feel the need to have the last say, and I don't know why I feel the need to be like, no, you need to listen to me. Like, I need to feel like I get my point across. Like, the fact that I didn't really care that much to really emphasize my point yesterday, I think made my position much stronger, because everyone in the room could see that obviously he was in the position where he needed me to see his point, and I was like, yeah, cool. Sick. So anyway, it's just like this like full 360 moment where I'm going to Darwin this year with my Super 2 driver, and and again, if you know Supercars, like, it's such a high category, and I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't learn all of these lessons along the way, and it didn't make me stronger, even though I cried at some of these race meetings because of the way that I was treated. If I had have given up, or if I didn't maintain the person that I was and the person that I am, I would not be where I am. Like, let me tell you right now. So, I hope that the like vibrational like ladder like thing helped. I hope that was like, I explained that well enough. I didn't butcher it. But yeah, it really hit me hard yesterday, and I just really wanted to share it because it was just like really what I needed to hear at the time. So, okay, now that I've chewed your ear off about that, and I'm going to have to whiz through my next bloody topics, like, anyway, but before that, you know that I've been finding mashups for you and DJs to listen to. I loved the feedback I got yesterday from you guys and how much you loved the music. So I'm going to cut to another one now, and I'm going to scull the rest of my tea, and then we're going to get into the actual run sheet of the show. I'm coming for ya, 'cause aren't they the best? I love those guys so much. Okay, so let's talk about child-free spaces. If you can hear, I'm so sorry if you can hear stuff in the background. My cat, she's turned into like a sheepdog. Like, she wants me to go into the pantry and get her treats. Like, she's like a crackhead at the moment. She's just like, yeah. And she's literally trying to herd me to go into the kitchen to get her treats. And now my other cat's attacking her. So apologies about that. Okay. So the first things first we're talking about is child-free spaces. So, as I said, there's like a whole thing now about we are calling for adult-only spaces, and the new flashpoint is adult-only flights. Okay, so the birth rate is at a record low. Plenty of people want venues, holidays, and transport where there are no kids in sight. Obviously, if you have children, do you know, like, not even if you have children and you like the idea of this, like, no shame on you. Like, you need to live your own life too. So basically, as I said, they're looking at paying extra for a child-free flight. And I think as a society, I liken this to like smoking. Like, you used to be like smoke inside, and then I'm pretty like showing my age here, but you like smoke inside, and it was like, socially acceptable. And now, I mean, I guess vaping's a different situation, but if you look at like smoking now, like, smokers get like chucked outside in one section like lepers. So, and look, I used to be a smoker. I was a smoker for like 10 years. And I guess I would have been, oh God, like 20 maybe. Was it 10 years? Anyway, it's completely irrelevant. So basically, I remember it was just like we would have a group of us and we would all go out together, and it was like a social thing, and I didn't want to lose that circle of friends, so I kept smoking. So yeah, I feel like this is really similar to this. So as I mentioned, I obviously don't have children. I would love to know if anyone was on here live, if you are a child, if you are a child, good morning, if you have children, and how you feel about this, because like this is just fascinating to me. So as I said, I have godchildren and my babies in my life, and I absolutely love them. And what I find hilarious is that if it's my godchildren or whatever doing things, I find it hilarious. And I'm just like, like little songs and dances that they make, which might be annoying to people on the next table. I like don't even think, I'm just like, look how cute they are. Like I'm just in my love bubble, obsessed with these little things. So, but then if I was out, and look, in my defense, when I'm out on my own, I am normally working. I will have my laptop. It's a big joke with everybody that Mac, because obviously I run a Mac OS. I run Mac, and so Mac has become my significant other. I spend more time with Mac than anybody else in my life. So normally I am, AirPods in, working away, and I'm sort of like a million miles from nowhere. And I think the best example I have of this, so if you've ever been to TGI Fridays on the Gold Coast, it is my favorite place, like my favorite place in the whole wide world. I don't eat chicken. Well, I do sometimes, but very, very rarely, right? It has to be prepared and cooked and like literally incinerated within an inch of its life so that I actually can't taste the chicken. So anyway, the chicken strips at TGI Fridays and the mozzarella sticks are my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So literally and it was bad, like when I was up there, I know for like the last month, thankfully I lived far enough away from Surfers Paradise that I couldn't be asked going there every night. But it is like my favorite representation of like a good night out for myself when I'm productive, getting stuff done, and I'm just going nuts on my mozzarella sticks and my chicken strips and post-mix Coke. Very important addition to the meal. But obviously it's quite a family friendly restaurant, so like you got kids running around screaming, you got birthdays, you got sort of shit happening. So I would never go there without headphones because I wouldn't be able to concentrate. So I think it's really interesting, and if you're watching this on social and catch up and you have an opinion, please comment. I am just so interested to understand, and I feel like from the people that I've spoken to about this topic specifically, I feel like there are going to sort of be in a couple of camps. Like there are going to be people that are going to be really pissed off that people don't want to see the weird tricks that their kids think that they're like parkouring, and they're like, cool, like when kids like, oh my god, watch me, and you're like, oh my god, you have my undivided attention, show me all of the things, and they're like jump, and you're like, yeah, sick. But when your kid does that, it's the best thing in the world. Like, I'm like, yes, you go, girl. Like, love that. You're so special. You're so talented. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you just jump like that. Okay. I refuse not to make a big deal out of anything that my godchildren do that are so basic. But I'm like, I just celebrate you just because I love the fact that you exist. So I would love to know. Please DM me with your feedback on this, because I am just itching to understand, how people actually feel about this. Look, I am neither here nor there about it. Like I said, my compassion level changed when I actually put myself in a parent's shoes with a child screaming on the plane. Like, it's so annoying. Like, you're like, oh my God, shut up. But you look at the parents and dead set, the panic in their faces and the angst in their faces, like they are going through it because they feel everybody else, like that. We've all been there, right? And so when you've been there and then you become a parent who is on a flight with a kid, like it would be, oh God, it would just be anxiety inducing. Like I just could not deal. So I would love to know, how do we feel about that? And do you know what, as a pet parent, so my dog Prada, she is no longer with us anymore. She was 15. She was my child. Like, she was my soul dog. And she basically ended up like, she was just a person, really, like in a dog's body. Like, she could communicate with you. I knew what she wanted. She literally dictated my whole life. And I used to put her in a pram. I was like, and before it was cool. Okay. I want that to be known. I got paid out for it endlessly, but I did it before like everybody else, purely because she was old and she had heart failure. And they gave her like 3 months to live, and 80 months later, she was still going strong. But I love, and I think now when I travel places, especially with a dog, it's a bit easier. My cats, oh God, I can't imagine me doing it too much. But I think with Prada now, I would probably take her with me on the plane. And she can hold, well, I say she could hold her bladder. She could hold everything in to the point where it was actually really worrying. And I get the most joy from seeing these pets on these flights. But if you don't like dogs or cats, like, you're going to think that's annoying. And like, if they bark or if they carry on, or, if they come and sniff you and you're like, ew, like if you're one of these people that doesn't like, you know what I mean? So I just think, like, at this point, if we segregate every kind of thing in life, like, you're going to have 72 airlines with like 42 different flight options, like pet friendly, child friendly, soon it's going to be like, if you don't like blondes, put them on the blonde flight. Obviously, that's a flight I would absolutely be on. So I'd love to know. Tell me all of the things. So yeah, Mama should have said in the chat, everyone knew what Prada wanted. She made sure of that. It was absolutely true. Like, when I tell you this dog could communicate with you through her voice and through her eyeballs, like, oh my God, she was just the best thing. That I miss her endlessly, every single day. But I know she's always with me, to the point, right? And this, like, I feel like I stop outing myself on the show, but I carry her collar with me everywhere. I feel a sense of connection to her because I miss her so much. Anyway, before I start tearing up anymore about that, let's talk about the next topic to get to this morning. So, how much is rich? Okay, I love talking to people about money, and I love it because people have such strong opinions and such a strong idea and such, like, about the type of person that you are, depending on how much money you have. And conversely to that, people that are wealthy, and look, this is a generalization, okay? So, like, don't hang me by my words here, but people typically, if you are quite wealthy, if you are very well off, and you are, like, you're really low key about it, okay? So unless you have a bit of an ego problem, but again, you're manifesting money in two different frequencies. So I feel like where I was going with this is probably true. You look at people like Warren Buffett, and you look at people like Elon Musk, and you look at, like, the big money makers in the world who literally, like, I think it was like Elon can't actually physically spend the money in his lifetime that he's making. So people look at that and think that is absolute goals, okay? I look at that, same deal, but I want to feel a certain way about being that wealthy. But you walk down the street and you didn't know who they were, you would just literally just be like another person. However, you have a different type of person who needs to spend money on flashy things to feel things, okay? Now, I know this to be absolutely true purely because of all of the drama I went through when I got my car, okay? Everyone wanted to, like, had an opinion on the type of person that I was, on, what I did for a living and all of these things based on when I bought my Porsche. So I've lived this. It's like, literally, it's consumed me, to be perfectly honest. So as I said, 53,000 people were surveyed to talk about this, and the cost of living crunch has completely reset what we think it takes to be wealthy. Isn't that insane? So I feel like before, like when I was, in my junior years of my career. So I think my first job, I was a junior admin assistant at an accounting firm, and I was probably on like 20 grand a year or something. When I tell you, 20 grand a year, I was stoked because I could get a car loan. Okay. I bought my Toyota Echo. I loved her. Oh my God. I was like, had my frangipani stickers and my seat covers and my steering wheel cover and my, hanging from the rear vision mirror thing. Like, I was stoked. 20K. How unbelievable. Okay. If you said 20K to me now, I'd be like, okay, cool. That's like, a shopping bill in a year. Like, It's wild to me. So what am I, 37? And that would have been 60, no, more than that. Like 20? Oh God. God, that gives me anxiety. 18 years ago. 18 years ago when I began my career journey. And when I left school, all I wanted to do was make money. I was like, I hated school. My mother made me finish school, and she likes to like literally wear my completion certificate like a badge of honor. And honestly, she deserves it because we nearly killed each other in those last few years. But I just wanted to work. I wanted to make money. I wanted to buy the things that I wanted. So I just think it is crazy to me that 1 in 5 Australians are saying that we need a salary of at least $450,000 a year to be considered rich. All right, if you're in here live with me, I would love to hear your feedback on this because I'm just like, what the hell? Like 450K, like to be rich, right? Now, we have OnlyFans models clearing this, no problems at all. We have entrepreneurs clearing this, no problems at all. Okay. Where I feel like this kind of information and limited feeling around money is coming from is actually coming from those who are working, I guess, your 9 to 5 jobs that you have to ask for holidays and you have to, you know, work through sick days because people won't let you go home. And, you know, your only time of rest is on the weekend. Okay. This is how, and this is why it just makes me so sad, is because I've never looked, I mean, I've set financial targets, I guess. Have I? Oh, I mean, I have. I've set financial targets for my business, and I'm like, oh, I want to hit this milestone. And I'm from the era of people literally in the last like 3 years who got used to saying things like, I want a 10K month and I want a 15K. Like, oh God, it just like literally gives me highs thinking about it. So I set financial targets for the business because I have to. And I very rarely look at them and be like, am I hitting that this month? Because like, I just don't enjoy doing it. I just find it boring as shit. So, but for me, I want to live comfortably. I want to buy things when I want to buy things. I don't want to have to restrict myself and say, oh, I probably won't, you know, probably not this month, like doing that. Because I don't know how to do that. I've never done it in my life. I've always made it work. And it's put me under some financial pressure for sure, like 100%. But again, because I was like, I've got the proof in my head where I'm like, you know what, I've made it work before, man. I'll make it work again. Like, it's just going to take some hustle, or it's going to take some rewiring to kind of remove any programming that is limiting me to believe that I can't make, you know, and again, I'm going to refer to this show. I swear to God, this show is not sponsored by the Lydia Atwood docuseries. But one of these guys is making like $180,000 a month on OnlyFans. Okay, let that sink in. 180K a month. So basically, by this logic, she would need to work for like 3 months a year, and she would be considered quote unquote rich. Okay, but she ain't gonna stop there. Like, why would you? Like, yeah. So I guess we find this limited ceiling because that's just kind of what we're used to in our life. So when you live by pay rises by a boss, obviously it can be hard to kind of set these targets for yourself where you're like, okay, cool, like this is what I want to bring in and this is what I want to do, without like literally job hopping continually. So I just find, like, to me, that's an eye-watering number. That is an eye-watering amount of money, right? If that's how you, and I may not be speaking directly to you. You may not be one of the 5 Australians that believe that to be true. But yeah, it is just, to me, that seems like, if I put myself in my own shoes, like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, no, actually probably not, like 5 years ago, probably, I would have been like, well, I'm never going to feel rich. I'm never going to be rich. Like, I'm never going to be able to do this. And that is where the limitations begin. So if you believe that you can only earn a certain amount, that's all you're going to be able to earn. And if you then believe you can earn more, then trust me, there is no glass ceiling. Like, these OnlyFans models have proved it. There ain't no glass ceiling, right? So if you're on live with me, I would love to hear. If you're on the replay, please message me and tell me how you feel about this, because I am just itching to understand how we have been conditioned to think that this is actually it for your life. Okay, who knows? Okay, we've got holidaying at home coming up, and then office versus flexible work. I'm going to play you another song that I found and stop singing in your ear. Please enjoy, and I will be back in 23 seconds. things. That makes so good. Okay, let's talk about holidaying at home. Now, I will preface this by saying, outside of Australia, Bali is probably my like go-to destination, and it's not because it's cheap, and it's not because of anything besides the fact that how I feel when I'm in Bali is like, oh God, it's like my happy place. It is a vibe there, and actually, I don't even know where I heard this, but this is like lived rent free in my head forever. There's actually a particular like energy that's only found in Bali and like one other place, and I can't remember the other place. And yeah, like literally that just makes you feel good when you're there. So I think, you know, the fact that in the great entrepreneurial digital nomad era that we lived, you know, a couple of years ago or so, yeah, I think that is the reason why so many people were drawn to that. However, I have done, I guess, quite a lot of exploring of the country, because I obviously traveled quite a lot for work. So I've seen some epic places, and there is what's his name? It's Bridie Drake's brother. I forget his name. Anyway, no, it's not going to come to me. Anyway, he has basically converted his Hilux into like a tiny home, and him and his mate, his mate, he runs a like coffee machine out the back of his Corolla. It's killer. It's Cairns. Okay, cool. So the other vibey place is apparently Cairns. Bali and Cairns. Do yourself a favor. So yeah, they're driving around Australia living out of their vans, and some of the stuff that they're showing, like if you didn't know any better, you would not think you were in Australia. I think we are so unbelievably blessed to live in a country where, like, just for many reasons, but you know, the beautiful landscapes that we have and the stunning, you know, things that we can do in our like own backyard is just unbelievable. Now, the research that I'm reading is basically because I think of a bit of a cash issue with some people, because that's literally how the research reads. So let me read it to you. It says, with wallets tighter than ever, it turns out the holiday of choice for most Aussies is Australia. We're falling back in love with our own backyard and leaving the overseas trips for somebody else. So let me read you some stats. So 49% of Australians named Australia as their favourite holiday destination. 49%. That's the half the country. Right? Now, my dad's never left this country. Okay? He doesn't really like leaving the house, to be fair. But yeah, it's wild to me. My parent, like, so my mum and my stepdad are actually going to Europe for like 6 weeks or something, in a couple of, I don't know when, soon. I have to babysit Murphy for a little while. But yeah, so like it's wild to me that we've got people doing European summers, right? And I truly feel, and I think that's why Italy might be the next one, because that is the next like thing to do, right? Is have a Euro summer. Last year, everybody who did it, it was like a whole social media movement. Okay, it might have been last year before, where it was like, you know, European summer, we're doing European summer, like whatever. I sit on the fence a little bit with this. I've seen a bit of the world. My previous job, I was lucky enough to do quite a lot of traveling for work. So I've done, you know, Spain, I've done Dubai, I've done a lot of the UK. So what I found is I was really uncomfortable if I didn't speak the language. I really struggled with it. And I think because when I think of a holiday now, because you guys travel so much for work, I'm like, want to lay in bed for like 4 days. Holidaying for me has taken a different turn. So, you know, another example of this is I was in Queensland for Ayrton's racing. It's like last month, a month before now. And we drove from Hope Island, where he lives, up to so the first one we had was in Toowoomba, so that was like a couple of hour drive. And then the second one we had was in Maryborough, which was a 4-hour drive. It was like 3.5 to 4 hour drive by the time we stopped in one night. Okay. If I drove 4 hours in Europe, mate, I'd be at the other end of the continent, you know? So it's like, we are so unexplored. I feel like we can find some gems. So I would love to know, do you have a favorite spot in Australia? Do not gatekeep, right? Let's be all friends here. And I would love to know if, like, why it beats and if it beats going overseas, because I just think it is fascinating, and I'm all about giving back to our tourism here. You know, our country could use it. And I would also love to know if you are trying to tighten up the budget a little bit with obviously the cost of living and all of the things. Are you actually holidaying at home to save money, or because you prefer it? Now, as a kid, we went to my family friends had a shack up the river. And you literally, I couldn't have had a more fun summer life as a child, right? Public holiday, we were always up there. And then mum also took us to we went to caravan parks, and we stayed in cool cabins and things like that as our holidays. And because they were holiday parks, and we met other people there, and it was such a vibe that I actually couldn't imagine going anywhere else, overseas, for example, for my childhood, because I just loved it so much. And so I think because I'm also comfortable, obviously, speaking the language here, I found that traveling, just even though Spain was stunning and I did all the touristy stuff, and same with London, I traveled there so regularly at one point that I kind of felt like I lived there. So it was a very different experience to my first time being there. But yeah, I just I feel very out of my comfort zone. I had to catch the tube, and I don't know norths and wests and souths and easts, and I don't really know lefts and rights, and I got lost on the tube, and that experience has always stuck with me. So yeah, I would love to know if you're on here live with me, or if you are listening to the playback, please reach out and let me know. I would just love to know. And yeah, like I said, you got some cool spots, please share them, because if we can work within our means and still have some epic experiences with our family or solo, I feel like we live in the best place ever to actually do it. Okay, last up for me this morning is we're talking office versus flexible work. Okay, the ever debate. Basically, let me read you the research, and then we can talk about it. Okay, so the Great Aussie Debate found a sharp split between the generations. Of course, lol. And it ties right back to our cost of living theme, from commuting costs to who can even afford to live near the city. Okay, so let me read you some stats. 56% of Australians over 75 say working full-time in an office is the best. If you're surprised by that research, oh God, I'm absolutely not. 42% of boomers agree the office is where it's at. Again, no surprises whatsoever. Younger workers are firmly team flexible work. Cost of living, basically it's saying that, look, before cost of living became a buzz sentence, I think we love working from the confines of our own space. I get to hang out with my cats all day when I work from home. I don't have to commute in traffic when I'm working from home. And because I do so many other things outside it, and look, I don't have a 9 to 5, I guess, so it's a little bit different, but when I do consulting work, for example, that is 9 to 5. So I have to fit this in the morning. And then I have clients that will message me throughout the day. So once my quote unquote 9 to 5 finishes, I've the thought of sitting in traffic for an hour to get home, it's an absolutely not for me. And so, because I still got a 2 or 3 hour workday after I get home from the workday. So yeah, I would love to know, again, if you're on live with me here, if you have any preferences and kind of what that is, what that sort of looks like for you. So I think that because if you think back to it, I didn't really work from home much before COVID. I did a little bit, but not heaps, I suppose. And I worked in industries and offices that enabled the ability to be able to work, but it was not so much working from home. It was being able to work on location. So if I had to go and do client visits, I needed to be able to log in, and it was really complex. I had to have a VPN and all of this sort of stuff. Whereas now, right, and this is the reason why Mac is my ride or die, we love him, is because everything that I need is in the however many inch screen in front of me. Okay, so I can make a living for myself. I can communicate with everybody I need to around me. I actually can do more with my life, because obviously limited before by distance of travel and, job opportunities and things like that, because you're not you would have to relocate if you wanted to take a job overseas, overseas and interstate, obviously. Whereas now, in peak lockdown here in Adelaide, or was I still in Queensland? I can't remember, one of the two. I spent half of my COVID time in Adelaide and the other half up in the Gold Coast. So because I was head of a global team, I would have my meetings in the morning with the Americas. And so I'd be online from sort of like 5 o'clock in the morning ish. Then so sort of like 7:30, 8 o'clock ish. And then obviously by that time the ANZ team are coming online. So we're like, okay, cool. We're doing it. Like, let's get into the ANZ day. And then it would come of an evening time, and then I would be required to obviously, touch base with the European team, UK team. So the fact, like, it gave me huge ability to do things so differently. Now, I craved the travel back then because I didn't love my home situation. So I wanted to be traveling and out with the team and doing all things. Also, they used to fly us business class everywhere. And when I tell you, Qantas business class on the Perth to Heathrow flight, oh God, it is just, you just living your best life there. I have like 47 pairs of pajamas I took with me from all of those trips, and I still wear them. Like, they're just the best. So I think that because, if you want to call, I want to call them boomers, they are the boomer generation. They didn't know any different. Okay. So it was and because they obviously had been in their careers for longer by the time this kind of stuff hit, like, they didn't have any other things to compare it to, right? So they didn't have what we kind of have the benefit of hindsight now, where it's just like, okay, cool, I can spend an hour in my car in the morning on the way to work, and I can stay at work for 8-9 hours or whatever, and then I'm in the car on the way home for another hour. So if like 9 to 5, I looked at that is, so say you start at 8:30, so you're leaving home at 7:30. Okay, do your work day, you finish at 5:30, you're not getting home until 6:30. Like, what kind of a life is that? Like, and do you know what? I'm being generous with these travels. I know some people in Sydney that commute like a ridiculous amount of hours. Like, I don't know how you actually do it. What I would do now, though, I think if I worked in the city, is I would look to public transport as much as possible. And like, this concept of this blows my mind, because I was like, I lost my license for like a year at one point, and I was like, you will not see me. I bought a bike, rode my bike, got hit by a car, couldn't ride my bike, and then had to catch public transport. I hated every second of it, right? Whereas now, okay, when I catch quote unquote public transport, so today, for example, I am leaving here this morning, I'm going to go and get my hair done. I can work at the hairdressers, okay? I probably won't, because Hayley and I will gossip the whole time, because I haven't seen her in forever. If you saw what was under this hat, you would know how long it's been. But yeah, so I can work at the salon, right? I have to drive an hour to get there, so that's downtime, so that's annoying, whatever. Then I'm going to the airport straight after that. So I've got probably, like, call it an hour at the airport, and I finally made Virgin Gold status. So I'm going to sit my ass in the lounge. I'm going to have some snacks, and I'm going to work, right? No one is contacting me because they know it's a travel day. Like, I'm the production queen, right? Doing all the things. Now, Wi-Fi in planes, huge. Okay. So I can, and I'm not going to, I'm going to preface that by saying I'm going to try not to work tonight on the plane, because I obviously have America's Sweethearts to watch, and I've got like 5 episodes left, and they'll be gone by tonight, I'm sure. But because I have like a 4-hour layover in Melbourne, right? Same deal. I am like, it is my productive time. Like, I could smash out a week's worth of work in those 4 hours that I'm going to be stuck at the airport lounge tonight. So I'm going to eat. I'm going to enjoy the post-mix Coke, and I'm going to be super productive, right? And then obviously, because I think I land at like 11:55 Darwin time tonight. It's like, oh God, it sucks. But anyway, it's fine. Yeah. And then again, I can either, which I won't be, but I could work on the plane because I have Wi-Fi. And then I could, yeah. So all of these things would not have been possible before, because, well, I mean, they would have been possible, but it was really quite minimal. Whereas if you've ever been into an airport lounge recently, you will see, God, I'm going to make this start up, and 70% of people are either on the phone or on the computer, right? It's very rarely a like quote unquote lounge now. You may as well change it to like a hub or like a working something, because even if you are on holidays, and I guess this is the difference between like my generation and like the boomers, is that your annual leave typically meant annual leave. Like, you didn't have a computer to take with you. You would switch off. You would be with your family, and that, whatever. Whereas life looks very, very different to that for me, purely because, I mean, I can work from wherever. Like, even when I went to Bali last year for Mum's birthday, like, I worked all of the morning and then, had the afternoon. And so I guess you don't technically like switch off. And also because I don't work Monday to Friday, right? You're sort of like, I'm probably clocking up more time. But yeah, so I think it's like, it's such an interesting debate, but I also think it's really predictable because like the boomer generation didn't know any different. They don't have the tech we have right now too. Also, like, just think, even just a few years ago, it wasn't as easy as it is now to be a digital nomad. Whereas now, and I truly think that companies need to lean into this. And if you're like an old school like industry, like, what's a good one? Accountants, lawyers. I don't know why they're popping into my head right now. Okay, so I think that from what I know of that industry, like even though it was quite disrupted during those times, a lot of them have kind of gone back to like quote unquote business as usual. So you go into the office, you stay in the office all day, and then you leave. I think the only difference is back the generation is because you literally couldn't work on location or on holidays. You actually took holidays, whereas now you can be contactable whether you're in like the top of what's the big one? Mount Everest, or you're sitting in your office. So I think that to me is probably the only thing. Look, I've done a lot of work around, calming my nervous system to take like micro breaks instead of like long chunky days off, because it just doesn't serve me. Because if I take long chunky days off, I am so behind, and the time that I spent not working is actually more stressful for me because I know that all of the things that I'm going to have to catch up on when I get back to work. It was the same when I was in hospital after my surgery. I was just like, I'm just going to keep on top of stuff. And everyone told me that I was crazy. But let me tell you, the like reduced stress of just keeping on top and kind of keeping the lights on and just keeping in contact with everybody, it was a million times better for me than just like switching the light off and being like, no, not going to be contactable, not going to be doing that. Like, that's not it. So you think you have to sort of find what works for you. And if you are one of these people, and if you're on live with me now, you can say hi to Meow. And if you are, one of these people that is transitioning from like, maybe you started your own business and it's big enough that you can now take off, just be mindful that the stop clock doesn't really exist, or can't. And I don't say for always, you might be in a different industry to what I am. But yeah, so just be very, very mindful of your mental health and your ability to switch off. Because that was probably the biggest thing I took away from working for myself is obviously, when you're sick, and this didn't really apply to me as such because I was like a director of a massive team. So even when I was sick and I was in hospital, like I was still kind of, online, keeping tabs on everybody and doing all of the things. But I think it's important that you have that distinction between home time and family time and quality self-time and all of the things outside of, inclusive of being in a working environment as well. So, okay, that was fun. I love my little download this morning. I truly, truly, truly hope that the vibe ladder, I don't know, like if I was like a designer, I'm going to see if I can get my designer to create something like this because I just want to put it out there because it just like made so much sense to me. So if you're not where you want to be in your life right now, you have total control over it, which is so fun. And then there's always new levels, right? Like this ladder is like infinite because it goes up with the helicopter. Like you literally can just keep going and there is just like no limit to the success you can achieve in this life, which is so fun. And I also want to love that version of myself 2 years ago that was started this business being like, what the hell am I doing? I'm so overwhelmed. And before this business was even thought of, right? I just never could have ever imagined what it has turned into for me because I took risks and because I backed myself and because even though the stress that I've been under and the anxiety that I've felt and the meltdowns that I've had, they've all played such a pivotal part in getting me to where I am. So I truly encourage you, it sucks and it's going to be hard and, but you can choose to utilize those lessons for the better. Or you can just decide, no, you know what, it's too hard and I don't want to do it. So I'm going to love you and leave you with that. Have the best rest of your day. And you will see me from my hotel room at in Darwin tomorrow morning. I'm gonna not be that fresh because I'm gonna not have slept, but we're gonna have fun together anyway. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I hope you have the best day ever.